Welcome back to When Waiting Turns to Wonder, Testimonies of God's Faithfulness. Say hi with me, my sweethearts, my husband, my partner in the waiting journey.
Your paso.
My partner in the waiting journey that turned to wonder for us. So I want to ask you, Tim, was there a moment you felt like giving up or trying to help God? And how did you handle that? Was there ever a moment you felt like giving up or you felt like trying to help God? Let me bring to your remembrance. There was one time I called you and I said, I release you. You remember that time? I said, oh my God. I'm not going to stop being your wife, but I release you. Go and have a child outside and give me the child.
And bring the child.
Yeah, bring the child. I'll take care of the child. That was me trying to help God as usual. But was there ever a time?
Frankly speaking, honestly, there was never a time I felt like going outside of our marriage. I never.
But the people suggest there were, I think you told me.
I can't remember where exactly it was.
I can't remember, but don't worry.
That I don't to go and try. You know what I mean? That wasn't an option for me. It was never an option. Even IVF, if you remember, I was even against IVF because I believe that what we were facing was more spiritual, than anything else.
It was against IVF as a process.
No, not that I was against IVF as a process, but I just wasn't convinced that was what God wanted us to do. So that was why I said, you brought up the IVF issue so many times, and I said no. And I even remember I threatened you that I'm going to get the money for the IVF. If you like, follow me and come and donate your sperm. I just, this is my husband. He would just sit down on the bed and he'd be looking at me like this. I said, if you like, follow me there to the hospital and give them your sperm. If you like, don't follow me. I will tell the doctor, as long as the doctor is good looking and intelligent, I will just tell the doctor that, please sir, can you just give me the sperm and let them mix it with the egg, and I will bring the pregnancy home for you. Let them mix it with the onions and pepper.
And I will bring, and when I was saying that, I was crying as I was saying it. And when I was saying, my husband just kept quiet. I was looking at me. When I finished, just stood up, got dressed, and I was like, what kind of man is this? I wanted to get a reaction, but so there was never a time that you felt weak and when you wanted to help God.
I just believe that when it comes to certain things, you can't help God. He's the creator of life. He's, I don't know. I've reached a point in my walk with God that I just believe him. I just believe him for certain things. People may see me and say, oh, look at me like you are laid back, but there are some things I know I can do.
Yes.
There are some things I have left for God to do. That's just me. There's things I know I can, that I know is me that will do that. But when it comes to certain things, I just believe it's God.
And that there's one thing that you can do about it. And I'm beginning to learn that. And it's just the truth too.
Particularly when, after we had done all the tests and they said, I mean, there was really no reason why you couldn't get pregnant. There was no reason. So
even the fibers that they discovered, they said, no,
it's not blocking anything. So
yeah,
I just felt, well, when it is God's time, he will do it. And
they said, you have one tube that is open. You can get pregnant with one tube. And sincerely, throughout the period, it was just amazing and I was just looking for that vulnerable moment because I felt like I'm the sinner in this relationship. You made me feel so, I don't know. I don't know whether people will understand it. Like when the two people are walking the journey and the other person is the one with the faith. Of course, the stronger one, you're supposed to lean on his strength. But at the same time, you now begin to feel like, why am I weak? Then because of that, you want to look on the other person like, don't even have any weakness. And I think one day, you didn't know, and I don't, have I told you this? One day I woke up in the middle of the night. I wanted to use the bathroom, and you were in the bathroom and you were crying, you were sobbing. I think that was when you were talking to God, that you were not Abraham or something, but you were crying. Yes, you didn't know. And I quickly ran back. I think I went to use the guest toilet. And I don't know, I was so happy that so affected. No, but it was looking like I was the only weak one. Didn't have faith in God. So I quickly ran back. That brings me to my next question. and which you have tried to explain, but well, for the sake of explaining more to the men that are also looking this podcast and waiting right now, what role did your personal relationship with God play during our season of waiting? And I think we've talked about it. One role, because you had a personal relationship, so it made it easier for you, right?
My personal work with God made it a lot easier for me. And also the experiences other people's experiences. I've seen people try to help God, try to have children outside. I mean, okay, at least if we can't look at Abraham's situation, his wife said, I have a child by my slave, Agar. And we all see what that led to.
Yes.
And up till today.
Yes, that's the problem.
That's the problem you're having in the Middle East now. Then you look at people that were also, and these are our own modern times. A lot of men I know that have had children out of wedlock, that it's not the ideal thing. It's not the ideal. And I never wanted to do that. I don't want to go through that in anybody pain. Because at the end of the day, you will cause even that child born out of wedlock. Yeah. You cause the child pain. Because people will talk to that child in the future, call the child all kind of names. Because our culture can be quite toxic. Can be quite toxic when it comes to this issue of fruit of the womb, a woman not having a child, or a child being born out of wedlock. People will say all kinds of things. And I didn't want to be part of that. So I just made up my mind that, well, if God doesn't do it, then I was ready to adopt.
Yes, I remember.
I would rather adopt than have a child out of wedlock. It has always been my own principle. So, and I feel that, a man must be principled. You must have principles you live by. That these are things I can do. These are things I will not do, no
matter what.
If you don't make up your mind, as a man, and even in our spiritual walk with God, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the king made a statue and said everybody should bow down to it. They made up their mind, they were not bound down to it.
We perish.
If we die on this matter, we die on this matter. End of story.
Yes.
So, if those guys could do that with their own life, how much more issue of fruit of the womb will now become I want to have a child outside of wedlock. It doesn't make sense. Then
going to the next question, how did you support me emotionally and spiritually when I was breaking down or feeling hopeless? This is just to, I know how you supported me, but so that the men out there too can know how to support.
Well, number one was prayer. We were always praying. I remember, before we got to our present church plan, there was really nowhere we did not go for prayers.
I did not drag you to.
There was nowhere this woman did not drag me to. I was brought up in the Baptist church. I didn't know any place called Prayer Mountain in my life. Prayer Mountain. I never knew any place called the Prayer Mountain.
My God.
And I grew up in another part of Nigeria, so but she was brought up in CSC, that's the Christ Apostolic Church, and they always have all these prayer mountains.
Orioke.
In our language we call it Orioke. And so that began our journey to.
I remember the first time I told you about the Orioke. You were like,
Yeah, I was excited that they want to climb a mountain. They want to go hiking. For me it was fun. I was like, okay, we're going to go hiking. She was looking at me like,
should we tell this man hiking? I looked at you.
We carried prayer water.
All his canvas, was like adventure for him.
We had to park our car at one primary school.
And the person that took it he was later that he now told us that we could actually take a bike.
That we could take a bike.
But after we got to the Orioke, was that like that's true. The Ogorun. What's Ogorun? that there will be some Ogorun on the roadside that if we take a bike, we will run past them. So that was why he said we should trek. So we trekked first miles and then started climbing the mountain.
Well, initially it was fun for me until we got to, like halfway on the mountain. I had to sit down and come. I was like, how far?
And those kind of warrior, you can't climb them and be say, oh Lord, bless me, Lord, I just want to worship you.
You will be
cursing the problem the problem that made you climb the Orioke is what are you? Orioke is mountain top where people go to. They climb the mountain and
you always have have this prayer place on the mountain, and you have prophet people there praying and kind of thing. People come to pray with all kinds of all manner of prayers.
All manners of prayers. I remember the one time that one pastor said we should go and buy cutlass.
Well, that was another Orioke. That was another prayer mountain.
You said we should buy cutlass.
I should go and buy it. Brand new cutlass.
UTC cutlass.
And we now went and bought cutlass. And we were now going back to the prayer mountain, and our car broke down. So we had to take public transport. So we're standing by the roadside, looking for a cab
with cutlass,
holding cutlass and 2 gallons of
2 brand new cutlasses, shiny cutlasses,
and water. We had to carry water in gallon and buckets because we had to go stay there for some days. So we had, so practically everything that was in the car,
we had to carry.
We now had to carry it and look for a cab. And of course, the car will not take us into the area where the mountain is. So we had to drop on the mirror and then start trekking.
And then we asked ourselves as
we have trekked too.
Yes, we asked ourselves as we're going that if police now stop us
with this cutlass, what are you going to say? Will you tell the police that you are doing with cutlass?
Say what we are praying. Okay, you are praying for what? Okay, someone with the cutlass. What's the relationship between the cutlass and fruit of the womb? So those are the I don't know, maybe silly things, should we call them, or the experiences that we went through. But you actually went through it just to
I was doing all that to support you,
to support me,
because I've seen a lot of women. I see a lot of women that they go everywhere praying, and they do it alone.
Yes.
You hardly see their husbands with them.
Yes.
Very few men support their wife because a lot of men believe it's the woman that has the problem, so let her go and solve the problem. Meanwhile, I discovered that a lot of guys have issues. A lot of guys have issues.
It could be spiritual.
It could be medical.
It could be medical. Yeah.
But society always assumes that it's the woman that's unable to take it, and we've seen a lot of men with low sperm counts or no sperm count or whatever, or some other medical conditions, which are actually treatable. Actually treatable, but most of
some men will
majority of us won't even go for any checkup. We won't go for any tests. We just assume we were okay. It's that ego, that pride thing.
And some men will be telling their wives that before I met you, my girlfriends used to get pregnant left, right, and center. I've heard stories like that before. And trying to make the poor woman feel like you're the one with the problem. I'm not the one with the problem. And you don't even know whether those girls that are saying that they are pregnant for you, maybe they were just lying to collect the money for, So it's always good to be together in this thing. So no matter how, I want to appreciate you for that. I knew your work with God at that period, you had strong faith and you knew that God was going to do it. But my Orioke suggestion, you were just like, let me just.
I was just going with you.
It wasn't like you really. It was fun for you, and it was a good experience because I remember that when we get home, we will now laugh at those pastors, those their sayings. It was just a wonderful time. Thank you.
Then definitely, it was part of spending time together.
Yes.
At the
end of the day,
it didn't make any sense, like allowing you to go alone and then I'm alone at home. What's the point? Let's go together. Let's see what they will say.
Went to some horrible places together, and because your support, because you were there, they couldn't take advantage of me. Some women. By going there themselves, they went through so many, some terrible things, some terrible experiences that they cannot even voice out. But because they see my husband, they always, And some of them were even shocked that this man is always following this woman to all these places. And I just want to appreciate you for that. We're going to take a quick break right now, and then we're coming back again to end this. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. God bless.